The bodies of 16 Vietnamese illegal migrants found dead in the back of a truck in Britain last month have been brought home to Hanoi. A total of 39 Vietnamese found dead in the vehicle.
Now, 5 of the 16 bodies are being returned to Nay An province. That's where a wake is being held for several victims, including Hoang Van Thiep. The 18-year-old left a year ago for France, where he worked as a dishwasher.
10 of the victims were teenagers, including 15-year-old boys, 2 15-year-old boys. The bodies arrived at Noi Bai Airport on the Vietnam Airlines flight from London. The other victims to return in the coming days.
Now, the families are expected to pay for the repatriation process. For the very latest on this, CNA's Tung No has been following all the events, and he's joining us live from the homes of one of the victims. Tung, you did visit the villages a few weeks ago now, where the families thought, and now it's come to reality, verifying whether their loved ones were among their victims. How have they been coping and responding to this tragic turn?
I spent the day today in this hamlet in central Vietnam, where they lost 2 sons in one single hamlet in the tragic incident in the UK. And I was stricken by the grief and despair and their families, or the victims and the communities have been going through today. And at the moment, I'm at the home of one of the victims, Hoang Van Thiep, as you mentioned earlier. He died when he was only 18 years old, and he went to France 2 years earlier, but the money he was making in France is not enough to pay back the debt back home. So he made the final journey from France to the UK and was met with the tragic incident. And now with family here, his body has been returned home and now laying in state in his living room where he was born and grew up, and the family is holding prayers at the moment. As you can hear the sound of the prayers at the moment, and the prayers also go to the dead, but also for the living, for the living to recover from this tragedy. And earlier today, a big crowd of villagers gathered, lined the only road leading to this hamlet to welcome their sons back home in 2 coffins, some holding white roses to pay their last tribute and to show their love. Today is the grief of despair, of cries and of prayers. At the moment, the focus has been for the family to organize the funeral service according to Vietnamese tradition in this area, and we expect the victims will be carried through this village in their last passage through the village where they was born and go up to the final resting ground.
Yeah, Tung, has there been any progress in Vietnam's investigation into the human trafficking ring, and would that offer some sense of relief or closure to the families?
Well, so far, Vietnamese authorities have arrested 11 Vietnamese people who are suspected of involving in smuggling the victims from Vietnam to the UK. But so far, the authorities haven't revealed any information on the progress of the investigation yet. But remember, it is the existence of illegal human trafficking ring here in this area in central Vietnam is an open secret. It's been even known to local authorities here. But many sons and daughters from these villages left this area to follow their dreams, to seek better jobs, better income abroad, but particularly in the UK. So, you know, the death of those victims cast a spotlight on the extreme dangers on the journey of the illegal migrants.
Yeah, Tung, this hamlet is but one of what we understand are numerous other villages that have people who have been trafficked to other countries, including the UK, via that same route. And while it's being dealt with on the smuggling ring side, the trafficking side, what can you tell us about the young Vietnamese who might be still keen to go, or are they less likely to take this risk?
Well, I talked to many villagers and families here, and in the last 10 years, thousands of Vietnamese from this area have been trafficked in the UK and now are working in the UK. And the incentive is that the money they send back home from their under-table jobs in the UK have transformed the economy here. They help them build big new houses because in these local areas there are not many job opportunities for young people. There's been only their parents and their previous generation have been living on the farm and paddy rice farm or by fishing on the ocean, but the income from that doesn't help them to build a future for themselves and their families. So, you know, many people left to follow their dreams, but this is a tragic incident that shocked the whole nation here in Vietnam.
Indeed, we've got Tung No reporting there from Hanoi on the repatriation of those bodies.